You don't know when the government is going to pay you.
How do you find that this industry enables women to be able to prosper? Do you think that there is space that has been created for women to operate in? You're an owner of one of the most successful security companies.
So it's kind of difficult. I don't want to lie to you.
South Africa, compared to other developing countries, has performed relatively well in the progress women have made in business. This is despite a degree of marginalization as business leaders, professionals, entrepreneurs, and labor force participants. The systematic issues, anti-professional behavior, gender inequality, regulatory requirements, and other behaviors as well that are really not bringing women into justice, into the fore. And lack of access for funding and resources and markets, these significant barriers are more prevalent, particularly in male-dominated industries. Take the construction industry, for instance. While there has been an increase in overall number of women-owned contractors, suggesting gender-positive environment, there's also a high failure rate of women-owned businesses. The security industry, due to its nature, women participation in key strategic areas is few and far in between. The financial sector mostly is dominated also by males in strategic positions, which is also not immune to the marginalization of women. So, what is it that women have to do? But before we expand on this issue, we wish to express our gratitude to all our subscribers and implore you, who have not yet subscribed, to please do so by clicking the button below and share, and please like and comment, as we appreciate your contribution. So today, we are having an exciting conversation, and a conversation that is very important, where women have for the longest of time had issues with regards to how they are viewed, the perception that exists in terms of their involvement in businesses, and whether are they really thriving in this country that is said to be conducive in terms of ensuring that women are noted. So we are joined by one of the successful female entrepreneur, Mrs. Leboyani Mkiti, who took the plunge deeply into predominantly male-dominated industries, the construction industry, the private security industry, and the financial sector. You've done it all. And you are one of the most youngest, beautiful women in this country that is really contributing to the economy of this country. But there is challenges as a woman being in business. And those challenges vary. But before we even get to that, how's Leboyani? Welcome you.
Thank you, Cindy, for the invitation. Thank you, the subscribers. Hope you guys are fine and doing well. And I hope that whatever we're going to discuss today will help one female or two in how to navigate within these industries.
Yes, thank you. So, Lebo, you're a mother.
Oh,
mother, not just you are a mother. You are a businesswoman. You, I'm told through the grapevine that you also study. You've got four most successful businesses. You are into scholar transport. You are into security. You are into construction. You're in the financial services industry. So how do you navigate all of these as a woman?
Well, to be quite honest, I will not take the credit and say it's myself. It is through God. And I think we all were well aware that when one is juggling a lot, there tend to be other processes that will suffer. Processes now being my kids, they don't get to enjoy me as a mother as much as other kids would enjoy their mothers. However, I try to be there for very important activities in their lives. So I am a present and yet absent mother.
Yeah.
Um, Again, when it comes to business, I've just tried to invest in the best systems. Now being your human resource and just systems itself, just to assist the people that I've put in business to help administer and run the businesses itself. So I think that's how I then got a gap to go back to school and study. And I think as we unpack this topic today, you'll understand one of the reasons why I had to go back to school and study.
Hmm. Hmm. So, the industries that you are in, they're very male dominated. And within that, women that are in business are few and far in between. But in this country, there is much emphasis with regards to development of women, empowerment of women. Do you think enough has been done from a government perspective in terms of being able to elevate women where they're supposed to be?
Honestly speaking, from face value, the government would want to take credit and say, we've done enough to empower women. But if you are a woman that is in those industries, you then learn to realize that actually there isn't anything for women in those industries. At the end of the day, we walk into boardrooms whereby we are, I wouldn't say, for lack of better words, I would say men look down at us because we're not supposed to be in those boardrooms according to the social mentality they have. We belong in the kitchens, we belong at home raising kids. So I wouldn't say the government has done enough in that aspect.
Hmm. Hmm. So if you had to be responsible in terms of engaging government when it comes to what they can be able to do more in terms of being able to elevate women. What is the glaring thing that you could be able to actually think of to say, you know what, perhaps maybe you've got policies that are in place that says women should be empowered. You've got things that are being implemented. Representation in parliament, in legislature. Women are there. Women are finding an expression. But where it matters the most in bread and butter issues, especially in business, because it contributes to the economic landscape of this country, women are actually not finding it very easy. So what would you say to government if you had to give an advice?
To be quite honest, Cindy, there isn't much we can say to the government, and I'll tell you why. At the end of the day, we've got systems in place that are supposed to be effective by people. And there's certain people, no matter how much you push them to say, look, there's the system, run with it. Uzobana, those rotten potatoes that would want to manipulate the system so that it can benefit them or their cousins or whomever. So from where I'm sitting, the government has tried, but at the end of the day, the systems is in the hand of the end users.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a huge gap between the end user and the government.
I get you. The sectors that you chose to do business in, they are very challenging. And I was actually wondering, what gravitated you towards going towards those sectors? Where the operational environment of those sectors, they are very challenging by nature.
Mhm.
And therefore the dominance and the patriarchal. So let's go back to those sectors. You decided that you're going to be going to business in the most challenging environment and in the challenging sectors. Well, male dominance is rife. Where operationally those sectors are very difficult for you to be able to navigate into the space. So what made you to actually decide that you would want to venture into into those sectors?
You know, surprisingly, it was a coincidence, but I'd like to go back to my childhood. I'm a typical girl that grew up with boys. So wherever I've been, there's always been boys around me. So channeling myself and tapping into those spaces was not that difficult. However, once I was in, that's when I started getting burnt because now the people that I used to play with were not the people that I'm gathering around in my boardrooms. You know, you got guys that are actually intelligent, but then you just get around the the boardroom, unfortunately. But you try to navigate. For me, the security, unfortunately, it's a fortunate, not unfortunate, fortunately, a family business. So it was something that we grew up nayo. So it was easy to learn the dynamics and to eventually grow with it. However, when it comes to electrical construction, that was a coincidence because I've always wanted to be with the other construction, but it was difficult getting into that into that space. And by mistake, I get electrical and I enjoyed it. I never looked back, you know. And then with the transport sector, how did I go into the transport sector? I just found myself in there. You just found yourself in there. Bithi wena vele waqhumkela nje phakathi. Yes. And I ran with it and I never looked back. However, with the financial service, I've always seen myself as the lady that's owning It Is Covered. So I've always benchmarked myself, It Is Covered. But one day I want to have a bank. One day I want to have an insurance company. So with that, that's how I grew into that space, hoping that ultimately I'll get to own my bank. So I'm hoping that I'll grow into that space. But I'm more into, you know, when you're into construction, not construction, but when you're an entrepreneur, you need to ultimately divert into something that's more sustainable. So I would say my financial industry, that's where I'm going to ultimately fall and settle. So these other companies are basically trying to fund the small baby to get to that ultimate goal.
And why do you have an interest mostly on the financial services industry? I know that you said ultimately you wanted to actually own your own Liguani bank. But what is it that is gravitating you towards the financial services industry?
I'm glad you asked that actually. In business, I struggled a lot financially, which is one of the aspects people take lightly when you're in business. You know, I've found myself in situations whereby my banks would fund me taking a loan, a stupid loan. But when I'm saying, look, bank, I need to buy this asset that's going to give me this turnover over 3 years, and I would get declined. So you'd find yourself when I want to buy a Range Rover, they are quick to approve. I want to buy plant now, plant that's going to bring in and generate money for me to be able to pay that particular Range Rover, you get declined. So I think that's the space that I'm trying to cover. I mean, I'm you when it comes to how and who we approve. I can look at those smaller markets like your black people that are disadvantaged financially. Because there's a lot of people with ideas, with plans that can make money, but I don't know what system the bank is doing or using when it comes to approving and declining loans. So that's the gap in space I want to close. I'm actually doing it for our black sisters and brothers.
So let's start getting into the scheme of things in terms of our discussion. Private security industry. Let's start there. What has been your challenges? How have you navigated into this industry? How do you find that this industry has got enables women to be able to prosper? Do you think that there is space that has been created for women to operate in? You're an owner of one of the most successful security companies. And I can tell you, having an understanding as well in the private security industry, that industry is not easy. That rejection in that industry, because of various challenges as well, is so rife. But as a woman, how do you now have your own space of being able to push child protective services forward?
You know, it's a pity because South Africa is dealing with one of the biggest issues, which is gender inequality. So that is one of the challenges I experience the most in this industry. But I've learned to grow thick skin, crocodile skin. There's instances whereby when you laugh a lot, when you smile a lot, people tend to take you for granted or undermine you. So I've had to build this character whereby when I walk into boardrooms, I command authority. You know, it's a pity with me being as young as I am. When I walk in, most men when they see me, they see a snack. You know, I'm a person that I believe eats well and is good looking and has a good body. You know, so you can imagine walking into a boardroom with a tight dress. The first thing they see is when can I put her into bed? You know, so the when you've got I've got this aura whereby you cannot undermine me when you do not know me. And I think you mentioned why am I going to school? You know, I that's the main reason I'm going there because now it makes no sense to look good and not be able to present just well yourself well or to articulate yourself well. So that's the only reason I'm going to school. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, you are. You just stepped into one issue of concern. I can also attest to what you are saying because I remember at some point in my career working for one government department where to prove yourself, you had to succumb to a whole lot of victimization. And people were not looking at you on what you can be able to actually offer. The fact that you've got the brains, you've got the capabilities, you've got the skills. But because of how you look, the first thing that comes into a person's mind before they could even be able to elevate you to something else or somewhere else is that you've got to do something.
You know, it's very sad when you're saying that. I've just lost one big contract right recently, and because of this issue that we're discussing, whereby unfortunately, what the deal that was on the table is that we have to, you know, and unfortunately, that's not how I run business, you know. And me being me, I opted to lose that contract than to degrade myself, you know, and to succumb to the man's demand, you know. And looking back, one would say, yo, I fumbled there. But I think for me, that was one of my biggest wins, you know, to prove to a person that I want money, yes, I want to grow in this industry, yes, but I'm not gonna sell my soul to get to the levels that I need to get to. At the end of the day, I am a mother to someone. I am someone's partner. You know, imagine having to walk into a function and 90% of the people that have literally slept with me for work are there. What does it then say to my partner? What does it say about me as an individual? So I'm willing to lose work than to sell my soul to these people. And it's a pity, it's not just the people offering us work. It's even my colleagues. And colleagues, I'm saying other companies, you know, they would even go to that extent to say, look, I can assist you. I'm in the space. If you can give me this, I can show you who or how I got into that space, you know. So it's challenging. Hence I said you need to grow thick skin to be able to navigate in this industry.
I need to actually applaud you because you're one of those women through adversity such as this was able to walk away and not look back because some women because of circumstances end up having to fall prey to such practices. I also had to walk away not knowing what I was going to do tomorrow simply because I had to keep my dignity intact. And so in the private security space, in an eventuality that you're not getting that particular contract, What are the challenges that comes with exactly that from your operational point of view? So you lose a major contract because you could not accede to certain demands that hurts your integrity as a woman, and you are left with a deficit in your business. How do you pull through that?
Look, Cindy, the security scope is very big. And I wouldn't say to people when you lose one contract, it's the end of the world. You know, you'd get a time whereby I'm submitting literally 15 tenders that are going out in the security industry. So one lose is not something that would literally say I need to close doors. One contract is lost this side, you get another contract in another area. I mean, we're operating in 9 provinces and in a lot of parastatals. So I cannot really hold on to one department because I couldn't bend to someone's demands and say it is the end of the world. Yes, I lost that, but it was compensated by something else. I got something else somewhere else. But at the end of the day, I know that besides losing that contract, I gained that guy's respect. Whether he comes to me and say, look, I respect you. I don't even need him to validate that, but wherever he is, he knows that, look, you do not mess with that woman. So that's what I'm saying. For me, it was a win. I lost that department. I won whatever I wanted to win emotionally, and I also got contracts elsewhere. As I'm speaking, I'm going to start another contract tomorrow. Is it the 24th tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes, it's the 24th.
Yes.
So you see, it wasn't really so it didn't really affect me that much, although the numbers are not the same in all fairness, but a win is a win.
A win is a win.
A win is a win.
So, operational wise, you spoke about access to finance, and which is the biggest stumbling block, especially for entrepreneurs. What has been your experience in the private security industry? Because I mean, there's a lot of labor and equipment that has to be bought for you to be able to sustain that business. The key contributing factors that led to you not being able to tap into finances that you really need to grow that business. Do you think it has any attribution to being a business, a small medium enterprise going forward? So the businesses that you are running, in particular, if you look at the private security industry, there's a lot of manpower involved. There's equipment that is required for you to be able to sustain that business. So you spoke about lack of finance, and especially when you go to institutions that are supposed to be able to render their assistance to a small medium enterprise. What do you think is the biggest stumbling block when it comes to not being granted that funding? Is it because of they looking at you as a woman who's running a business? Or is it the system itself that is making sure that SMMEs are not getting joy when it comes to such institutions?
It's I wouldn't say they look at you as an individual. I think it's the system itself. And I don't want to come across as a person that has issues or that is for lack of better words, I would say racist. So I wouldn't want to really comment much on the system itself. However, it has taught me to that when you're running a business, you need other alternatives. Don't have a mentality of putting your eggs in one baskets. I think one of the main reasons I'm in all these industries is so there's these companies can find a way of assisting each other without having to go to institutions and go prove the value of the company, where else they can see it on paper that, look, this company is doing well. This is a company that we can invest in and that can be in a position to pay as well. But the back and forth of having to prove yourself gets tiring at some point. That's why you then have to look at other alternatives on how can I then bring in money to find myself sustainable enough to pay employees and because if you can look at government parastatals, they also the ones that are crippling our businesses because they're not paying us on time. I mean, you'd find a government institution and we all allow 30 days credit. pay us within 30 days.
Sure.
That's doable.
Sure.
That's enough and sustainable to run a business. But now if you get to a point whereby it's 60 months, you're not paid. 60 days, post 60 days, post 90 days, it becomes crippling. And then now you go to a bank and say, look, I need money. I need money to pay my employees. Unfortunately, I'm not, when I say I need money, I'm not talking about 500K. I'm talking millions. And they look at you and say, okay, ma'am, how are you going to pay us back? You're sitting there, you've got no plan. You don't know when the government is going to pay you. You're looking at your assets. You don't really have enough assets that you can pledge to the bank and say, look, I just need your money for 2 weeks. The government is going to pay me. So it's kind of difficult. I don't want to lie to you. So now I would advise people to have other alternatives.
So the role of women in the private security industry. I note that when it comes to your company, 90% of women in management are there. Operationally, women are there. But there's this issue that has been going, especially when crime is so prevalent in this country, that you find private security providers hosting women during night shifts, and crime happens. Unforeseen things happen, and where you find that women end up being raped in those sites. And that is a discussion that we don't really talk about because it becomes a fleeting subject. A site happens, a robbery happens, women get tied up, they get raped, and it's business as usual. I wanted to ask you as an employer, besides wearing a cap for a woman, that what is your view with regards to that?
No, Cindy, it's very sad and discouraging, that sometimes we cannot employ women because of their safety. Not because we don't want to put them on sites, but because we fear for them. We fear what will happen to them when we're not there. However, I think as an employer, again, there's other alternatives that you can look at. Like for me, there's sites whereby you'd find my women only work day shifts. I don't have women that are working night shift because I know there's more I can do during the day than at night. And I try not to put them alone. I would make sure that in a shift, maybe there's 2 women and 3 guys. I know should anything happen, the 3 guys are in a position to protect the 2 women. So you'd never find an instance whereby they're working night shift. I discourage that at all circumstances. Again, I also prefer to have my women in management because in management, then I am sure that you are working during the day. At night, if you are responding to that crisis that happens at that time. So it's not an always everyday thing that you are on the road at night. So I think I'm a bit of a feminist. I am one. I wouldn't disregard that, but I know I am one because even when I hire, I look at your CV, is she female? Okay, take her. I want to just at least have that space, especially as sheds are whereby they know that, there's that company that is female led, that is operations, it's females that are doing it, and they are doing it quite a good job.
It's successful. And it's competing amongst the best in the country. Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And I think my wish is that the people that follow me now being my employees see how I run and conduct business, because I believe as much as I want to empower them, they can also be my setback. Because imagine if I'm a woman and saying I can walk away from that contract. Are they strong enough to say, look, we are going to walk away from that? If you are saying we must compromise this woman, then we'd rather walk away. So those are the things I basically pray for, that I cannot lead and show you this is how we're going to walk, and then you come and do the opposite. Because as much as we want to believe it as women, or we don't want to believe it, we are our own worst enemy. You understand? So I think that is my prayer. Good, look, guys, this is how we're doing business. You are not going to sell the company because of what was put on the table.
So there was one incident that actually took place that I just alluded to now with regards to women where they were held up and they were raped. And there was so much publicity with regards to that. And the views, everybody's got varied views. But there was an argument that said that if a woman knows that the security space is dangerous, and why would they take that job, knowing that crime is so prevalent in this country?
So they would rather have her go sell her body to make money. Look, South Africans will always have opinions. You do right, they've got an opinion. You do wrong, they've got an opinion. So they never have anything positive to say, especially if a woman is doing good for herself without having to degrade herself. They always have an opinion. So I don't really take such to heart. I don't even read such comments because of that, because I always have my own view. They never have anything positive to say.
Okay. So, before we move into other industries, you're in the boardroom. You're in the boardroom, right? And you are confronted by arrogance, especially when you walk in as a woman, you know your story, you understand operations, you understand the dynamics in the industry, but you're confronted by this attitude of men thinking that for you to be able to stand there and have a successful business, there must be men behind you that will be able to push you through. How do you deal with that mindset that you find in those boardrooms, those different thinkings and dynamics?
Honey, you cannot argue with facts. Being arrogant, I will put my facts down. Jump up and down, I will put my facts down. You can go up the wall, down the wall. A fact is a fact. So that is why it's important for women to go to school. That is why I need to ensure that I obtain my doctorate, just so that I can reintroduce myself. When you want to argue with me, you must know that you must have facts, and your dad's in the role, actually, to be quite honest. So you get that. And I'm not gonna lie, I do have my dad's support. He is my biggest cheerleader. He is my mentor. He is the one that when walls start crumbling down, I run to him and say, look, I'm faced with this. And he would say, look, I know you are strong. I left you there because I know you can deal with this. What I can say to you is that implement 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll come back and thank me. He would not hold me by hand and say, come, let's go fight Cindy. Cindy's doing this. He would just say, go implement and you will come back. And I would literally take what he says, go and test the market and come back with feedback that, look, it actually worked. Yeah,
So, the future of women in the private security industry, what is your feeling?
Sure. We need, the current women that are there, I think we need to hold hands and fight so that the picture can look good. Because we are the ones that are currently there. We are the ones that are currently experiencing all these challenges and dynamics. We need to pave and set way for them. So there is a future, but it's very slim. It is a very slim. I don't want to lie to you. Guys out there are hackers. The guys I go into meetings with are brutal. So this industry is not for the faint-hearted. It is not for the faint-hearted. So if you don't have thick skin, I don't want to lie to you. You are going to operate tomorrow. You might operate throughout your 3-year contracts, and beyond that, you will close doors. Because you cannot run your business one by trying to be a feminist, saying, I'm a woman, they will feel sorry for me. I'm a woman, I need to sleep with whom to get contracts. At the end of the day, that wears out. Guys get bored. Guys want the next interesting person or interesting child on the block. Hence, I'm saying I think the women that are there, if we can just pave the way so that the ones that come after us don't have to go through what I just spoke about to make their mark in the industry, you know. So it's a 50-50 chance, I don't want to lie to you.